So I think that's 12 o'clock. If we could make a start, please. It's Willie on the call rather than Veronica.
Yeah, certainly. Thanks very much. Billy Storrs will be with you today. So firstly, just welcome everybody to the meeting of the Pension Subcommittee and Pension Board. Just to advise that the recording has commenced, and the recording of the public part of the meeting will be placed on the Council website for public viewing. I will now take a roll call for the minute, and I would ask if members would confirm they're present when I call their name. Billy Storrs.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Councillor Lynn.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Rome.
Present.
Thank you. Bailey Keenan.
Present.
Councillor McHugh. Mark, Councillor McHugh is absent at this moment in time. Councillor Crichton.
I'm here.
Okay, thank you. That concludes the Pension Subcommittee members. Pension Board members, George Ramsey.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Donaldson.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Duff. Councillor Duff. Markham is absent at this moment in time. Kenny Dick.
He is here. He's just on mute.
Okay,
yeah, Councillor Duff on screen.
Okay, thank you. Claire Shepherd. Markham is absent. Arthur Nichol.
I'm here.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, Raymond Boyd. Markham is absent at this moment in time. Includes the roll call. To continue on to the agenda, we've covered apologies, and if there's any further apologies, please intimate these in the chat. Item 2 then, before his declarations of interest, is whether or not any of the members have any declarations of interest to the content of the agenda as it stands. There being no declarations that I can see, that then takes you on to item 3, the minute of the previous meeting of 17th of March, which is submitted for approval.
Seeing any questions to that, so I'm assuming it's approved.
Okay, thank you very much. Takes you on to item 4, Teesside Pension Funds Risk Register. This is for noting.
So there's no changes since the previous report. Kevin, you have a question.
Yeah, it's really about sort of cybercrime, taking into account that a lot of big organisations, Marks and Spencers and Co-op, have had huge cyber attacks, and wondering whether, there is, industry-wide guidance comes out after the like of that, and as to whether we're taking all that into account to prevent anything like that happening to us.
Paul, so you've got your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, convener, and thanks for the question, Bailey Keenan. So in terms of IT, the administration of the fund will sit, or the IT certainly would be administered under a service level agreement with the council in terms of provision of IT services. So any learning from events such as that would have to be considered in the round in terms of the City Council, but we're certainly happy to review any specific guidance from the areas that I mentioned and pick that up as part of moving forward.
Thank you.
Okay, Stuart. Stuart, you're on mute.
Yes, right. Okay. I'm not quite sure whether this should be included as an item of risk and include on the risk register. But it's something I can see going forward, and it's the item I raised with yourself, Paul and Tracy, and this is, following on from the statement by Rachel Reeves, the move to mega funds south of the border in England and Wales. I think from what I can see, Scotland is distinct from that, but I don't think it's going to defy gravity probably, and there is the risk of that we move to a general almost convergence of a large number of the pension funds in Scotland. I think that does carry risks. It may conceivably carry benefits, but I think it's something possibly we ought to consider putting on the risk register.
Okay, 70 the officers. Paul?
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Donaldson. So in terms of governance, I mean, governance is absolutely a risk, and it's included in its own regard, item 12 within the risk register. So we look across the piece in terms of any broad risks associated with new governance, new policies, new strategies, whatever. And, you know, we will consider any implications of the area that you suggest as part of that area, and you know, we review that on a quarterly basis. So I'm happy to reflect that in terms of any future reports.
Okay, thank
Can I
you.
just
Tracy's
add?
looking to comment on that as well. I think Tracy's looking to add.
Yeah. I think in my response, Councillor Donaldson, I'd said the Scottish LGPS fund falls under Scottish regulations, and so therefore we are unaffected by Rachel Reeves' statement. If we saw that this was a risk, you know, going forward, it would be added as a specific risk to the risk register. The background of pooling has been around for the last 20 years, and there is no such change in Scotland imminent. But if it is, I will ask the other pension funds if they include it in their risk registers.
Can I just say quickly, Tracy and Paul, thank you very much for getting back to me so quickly. I appreciated that. And I think you're going to have a broader meeting with the local government association and various other bodies, I think probably the next 2-3 days. I'm not quite sure when. But I don't want to give you a whole lot more work. I think what would be quite useful is to give an outline of, you know, obviously Strathclyde Pension Fund is, you know, almost, you might say, a mega fund. It's certainly much larger than the others in Scotland. But in terms of size, if we could get maybe a comparison between ourselves and other pension funds, just to know from whence we're coming. And I think I'm right in saying the smallest one is Orkney. Because it may conceivably have implications a bit further down the road, certainly for funding for, in particular for individual councils and for other scheme members. So yeah, I'm trying to think ahead.
I can put something together and send it out. I'll send it round everyone.
Nothing too detailed.
Okay.
You know, but just a quick comparison would be helpful. Thank you.
Kevin, you wanted a comment?
Yeah, just a comment to say that I'm sure this bubbled away in Scotland a few years ago. I think it was Alex Neil that was suggesting the sort of merger of pension funds. Some of the large trade unions were in favour of it. I think the sort of imbalance comes between we pay 15 and probably Lothian pay 23%. So how does that balance up? That's probably where I see most of the risk if there's going to be. But you know, a lot of officers come up with the suggestions if we're needing it onto the risk register at this stage or not.
Okay, and with these comments, is that report agreed? Noted even? Okay, Billy.
Yeah, thanks, Billy Source. Takes you on to item 5, Tayside Pension Fund Internal Audit Annual Report. Again, it's items for noting.
Any questions or comments to item 5? Not seeing any, so I'll take that as approval.
Okay, thanks very much, Convener. Item 6 then is pension administration performance. Again, this item's for noting.
Any questions or comments on item 6? Not seeing anything, so I'll take that as noted.
Convener, I think Arthur Nichols got his hand up.
Hi, sorry, yes, Chair, just
Arthur.
asking, obviously the only thing that kind of sticks out is the issues we're having, which seem to be perennial issues with deferred pensions and, as explained in the narrative, that it's to do with the difficulty getting information back from employers, etc. I'm assuming this probably has been something that the pension section have looked at long and hard. But is there anything that they feel that could be done to improve that kind of process in terms of making sure that employers are able and ready to be able to deliver the kind of information that's necessary? Or is that just the difficulty of historical data and the difficulty maintaining that for any employer? Thanks.
Thanks, Arthur. Tracy, do you want to come back on that, please?
Yeah, I saw that there was 20 cases outstanding at the end of the period. Now, if you notice as well, the caseload was actually up by 25% overall. So, unfortunately, in addition to getting information back from people, there's also the concept that we're not in charge of our own destiny here. We don't know what's coming across our desk at any given point. And if you're faced with a 25% increase in your workload, you're not going to manage to do everything. And we can't, resource for to be sitting and waiting on things. So I think that being able to achieve what they've achieved and that minimal amount being out with timescales is quite a considerable effort.
Okay, Arthur, are you okay with that?
So yeah, I mean, I wasn't saying I had an issue that I don't think the pension team is an issue with the team. I think it's an issue with this perennial problem of getting the information from employers. So just wondering if there's anything we can do to help, if there's anything they think that might be done via the board or committee to encourage employers to, be ready or be able to provide this kind of information more reliably, that would actually make the work easier for the pension section trying to actually track down and get these deferred ones into payment.
I think we do all we can, and the team meet with employers all the time. Unfortunately, employers are just like us. They've got resourcing issues, they've got staff turnover. So they do try, and but I'll leave that with Amanda, and maybe there might be something.
Yeah, no, I would just echo what you said, Tracy. I think payroll departments have had quite a bit of staff turnover and changes, and I think they're trying to get to grips with how we work and operate. We've done some training and we've got some other training scheduled with them. So hopefully it's a little blip that'll be short-lived.
Okay, thanks for that. So I've got Stephen and then George. So Stephen first, please.
Thanks, Willie. It was just a quick comment, and notwithstanding Arthur's observation about the deferred benefits being out of statute, I just wanted to say that officers have done what we asked for in terms of the labelling of the table to improve our understanding of it, and again, as Tracy's observed, they've delivered most of things within statute. So I just want to thank them for that and note those improvements.
Okay, thanks for these comments, George.
Yeah, I was just on the increasing in the members portal, and that seems to be a good thing. That I use it myself, so I'm just wondering if that's still going along as you planned, or you're looking to get more information out, to get more members on it. But it seems to be doing all right, Is that what you're planning? Is it needing more people in it, or are you happy with the amount that's in it?
Happy to pick this up. So the member self-service is changing to a new system to engage later in the year. So at the moment, we're just operating as we are. Once the new system comes in, we'll be doing a further rollout to try and get more members using it. But because of the changeover, we've kind of held off doing anything further with it till we get the new system up and running. So we're going into testing in the next few months with that. So more details will follow on that in due course.
Okay, thanks. Arthur, you want to come back in?
Yeah, you've got my geek head interested now, Amanda. What is that, a new provider, or is that just an upgrade to the Keilor Haywood's current system?
Yeah, staying with Haywoods, it's a slightly different system, so there will be slight differences in it, more around two-factor authentication and things like that, but still managed by Haywoods.
Thanks.
No worries.
Okay, with these comments, can we note this report?
Okay, thanks very much, Convener, for that item being noted. Item 7 then, Statement of Investment Principles Review. Again, this is also for noting.
Any questions or comments on item 7? Not seeing anything, so take agreement for that report.
Okay, thanks, Convener. Item 8 then, before his funding strategy statement. This is for approval.
Okay, so it's responsibility of Dundee City Council, the administering authority to Tayside Pension Fund, to prepare, publish and maintain the funding strategy statement. It requires to be reviewed annually. Approval sought from members for this. Any questions? Kevin?
It's really about the Barnett Waddington comment about the probability of deflector rising to the tune of the future 15%. And is that suggesting that over the period we could effectively be, instead of 110% funded, somewhere in the region of 95% funded, or what is that trying to tell me?
Happy to take that up. What it's telling you is that there's a 15% chance of not being able to meet requirements. So it's not saying, you know, we're 95%. It's a probability that they give a sign. It was 20%. It's now lowered to 15%.
I mean, I know that we built a lot of measures into the thing so as we would maintain
Stability.
employers and employers' contribution at a reasonable level over a longer period of time. So I'm not uncomfortable about where things are.
Thanks.
Okay, Arthur?
Just because Kevin raised that thing about the structure, I do recall when we talked about the reduction in the employers' contributions, it was seen as being to take us to a soft landing over a 10-year period or whatever, from 110% back down to 100%. Just in the midst of that, I remember asking in a previous meeting, it relates to that, about I'd seen a report at the SAB about improvements in funding of the different funds across Scotland, and Tayside didn't seem to have improved by the same amount as other people between 2020 and 23, I think it was. I think it was David O'Hara, was it yourself that replied by saying it was something to do with the way they calculated it, you weren't happy with that? And I never asked at the time, but it occurs to me now, they seem to show all these other funds going up significantly, whereas our fund seemed to stay where it was. And you said, oh, it's because of the way it's calculated. So was your estimate, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but was your estimate that the other ones were therefore being inflated, or that ours was being underrepresented?
So happy to come in there. So I haven't seen the report that's been referred to, but the different scheme actuaries, so different firms, different scheme actuaries take a different approach to value the liabilities. So we've definitely seen elsewhere some other funds where the funding level improved quite significantly, but they experienced similar or actually worse asset performance. And it's not the assets have been performing very well. It's just how the scheme actuaries are valuing the liabilities. So it's just there are different methodologies being used in the market to value the liabilities. But I think what we said previously was given the market environment, given the assets you hold, the assets of the Teesside fund have performed very strongly. So sort of it's probably more on how the liabilities are being valued that's driving that change in the funding sort of position.
Thanks for that. I was just because obviously in the back of my head then is thinking some of these other funds took quite drastic reductions in their employer contributions. So it'll be interesting to see how these all unwind over the next few years in terms of whether people have made wise decisions or not. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Seeing any other indications, so I'm taking that report's agreed.
Okay, thanks very much, Convener. If the item being agreed, item 9 then is Teesside Pension Fund Internal Audit Report, Investment Strategy Review. Again, this is also for approval.
Any questions on item 9? Not seeing any indication, so I'll take that as approval.
Thanks, Convener. Takes you on to item 10, Teesside Pension Fund Annual Governance and Governance Compliance Statements. This is for approval.
So we're asked to approve the annual governance and governance compliance statements and instruct their inclusion in the annual accounts for the year to 31st of March. Any questions, comments? Seeing any, so I'm taking that as approved as well.
Okay, thanks, Convener. Item 11 then is Teesside Pension Fund Annual Report and Accounts. This is for approval.
So this is presenting the unaudited annual accounts of the pension fund. Members are asked to note the contents of the covering report and the unaudited accounts and instruct the Executive Director of Corporate Services to arrange for these to be signed and submit them to the external auditor. Again, no indications of comment or questions, so I'll take that as approval.
Okay, thanks very much, Convener. That then takes us on to the confidential part of the agenda. I would ask if the subcommittee are minded to agree to exclude the press and public from the meeting to allow those matters to be considered in private. Is the subcommittee agreeable to that?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, thanks very much. If you bear with me a moment while I stop the recording.